Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are joined by my wife, who is going to help us play Five Tribes. This is just going to be a very quick video of how to set the game up. And the reason being is because this is not Five Tribes, the Djinn of Naqala. It is also two expansions, the Thieves, or I'm sorry, not the Thieves, the Artisans of Naqala and the Whims of the Sultan. So I wanted to show you guys how to properly set all three components up. One thing you normally want to do is make sure that everybody has one of the original and one of each of the component sheets, the reminder sheets, so that way people know what each thing does. Now, since it's just my wife and I, we usually just grab one of each and then set them aside. And then in the Artisans, I believe, you get a bidding track and a turn marker for 5 people instead of only 4, because one of them adds a 5th player, which is, what is that, like a golden brown?
It's brown, yeah.
Brown, okay. So it comes with enough camels and 1 tent and 1 minaret for that 1 player. And then, because we normally play by ourselves, like the 2 of us, ours comes with extra camels and 2 minarets. So I'm going to set those aside until after bit. One of the expansions included extra gold, but we've yet to need it, so we usually just leave that off to the side. You will grab your Whims of the Sultan and go ahead and give those a quick shuffle. And I'm going to let my wife keep shuffling those for us. You're going to grab the Artisans, jewels, treasure, and weapons. That's what all of these little white tokens are, which have gotten shuffled terribly. Let's try that. Yeah, that looks better. So you're going to take these and give them a quick shuffle. And then normally I just keep those up here with me. If you have enough players, you should never feel afraid to trust the other players. To everybody have their own thing that they're going to be in charge of. These are the score pads with all of the expansions, but it does not have the Thieves of Naqala incorporated in this, which is okay because we don't have the Thieves of Naqala. We're going to grab out the mountains because we're going to need that for a few of the tiles. And see, if I wanted to, the 2 of us could play with the old board and old turn marker that has 4, and it doesn't have nearly as many backtracks. So originally, if someone bid 0, then the next person to bid 0, that person would get pushed back. And that's how these here are played. The 5 can be pushed back to 3, to 1, and then, of course, 3 zeros. But we normally don't play with these. We just keep them around in case. And then orange player, black player, never need those. Well, I shouldn't say never. We've used them once. Just haven't played with Cody and Kim since. And, well, you guys remember Cody. Alright, so gave those a quick shuffle. And if it hadn't been for the fact that, my wife is sitting here helping me with all this, I would actually shuffle this stuff a little bit better. But she's off on the side here, shuffling as well. There's that. And then when you're setting up, you're going to make sure that every player gets 5 silver, which is the 1 gold. 5 silver for each player. 3, 5. I won't need the score pads for a while. And everyone's supposed to get 9 pieces of gold, which all have a 5 written on them. So there's those. Three, 6, 9. So there's those. Those are going to stay in there. And then, yeah, I'm going to throw those in the top here, if you would, please. So that way I don't have to fight with those. I always put those up there so that way I can easily grab out the castles and palm trees. And I normally set the box, just the way that it is, off to the side. Or, in this case, under the table. And then, we're going to go through here and pick out all of the new tiles. So these are Whims of the Sultan, which came with one of the No Man's Land. And then we have to grab the Chasm, which came with the Artisans. Artisan, that one. I'm going to let you grab half of those, babe. And the reason we're pulling these out is because they are supposed to be shuffled in with only so many of the tiles. So that way they automatically end up in the middle. Now, we could have shuffled all the tiles together and hoped for the best. No. I know that there's at least 2 more of those, yeah. And just hope for the best. But we would have looked a little bit funny grabbing them from the edge and slipping it into the middle. It just would have looked bad. But all of these here get shuffled together, and then they get shuffled in with those. 6 and 7 is 13. Would you take 13 of those out, please? At random. Well, or what you're doing, that's fine.
I only have 11.
11? 13. Okay, so all of these here get shuffled together. And I probably know what you guys are thinking, that... Well, actually, that's wrong, too. You probably need another 13. Oh, well. The tiles are the same on the front and the back. Kind of looks like the Cave of Wonders. A 6, blue. And this means that you can buy a gin. It looks exactly the same on both sides. So we just don't really try to focus at what we're looking at. We just shuffle them. Thank you. Alright, so. No, those don't get shuffled in yet. They just get shuffled separately and then they get put on the board. Okay. So 1, 2. Go ahead and put one of those down. 4, 5, and one more 2. And then we'll go around the edges here. Now, this whole game is completely random, so everything that you do is chance, just as long as you try to be fair about it. We do try to be fair about it, but we don't always care which tiles are which. We don't separate out the tiles, like, oh, these here have to go in the middle, and then put everything else around the edge. And every game we've played has been completely random, completely different from the last game. Let's do some more of those down here, please. Alright. Thank you. The only time we did anything different, like I said, if we dealt one of these on the edge, then we would just slip that into the middle where it was next to. The only thing that we've ever done differently was one time we got one of these tiles, which has the artisans on it. And in fact, it was this exact tile. all the artisan tiles get 2 mountains on it. And this tile ended up at the far bottom corner, which meant that nothing could go in and nothing could come out. So instead of leaving it there, we moved it from here to this corner, which meant that something could come out one way. And then normally, because we don't care where all the tiles end up, on the edge or in the middle or whatever, wherever I place a tile, Melissa will drop 3 randomly selected from the bag meeples. Nice. And that almost never happens either, is having 3 of the same color show up on the same tile. It's happened once per game for like 3 different games. And when it does, it's a very quick way to clear a tile. But while she does that, in fact, if you want to start setting them up here, then I can start standing them up. The game recommends that you stand up the meeples, and then as you drop them off, and we'll explain that when it comes up, as you drop them off, you lay them down so that way you know where you came from. So oftentimes what we will do is go ahead and stand those up. And because I'm colorblind, Melissa is usually pretty kind to me, and she helps me see the difference between the reds and the greens, the blue and the purple, the red and the purple. And there's 2 ways that you can do that. If you are colorblind and have trouble with some of these, like these here, I know that they're red and green because they were already separate. I could see that. Next together, I couldn't always tell you which is which. Like that, I can't tell you which is which. But I know that if I separate them, then I can see it a little bit better next time. Another way, just for an example here, is you can, sorry, babe. You can set up whatever's the same over here and the other color over there. So we're going to set this up. And then as soon as this is all set up, we will shut this off. And help me here. Red, red, green? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do with that, because that's my strongest problem. So next we have, while she finishes that up, we have our camels and our minarets. So we'll set those there. And, you know, it's just, it's, you know, kind of sort of manners. It's kind of good family gaming etiquette to have yourself a little bit organized. You don't have to be, but we like to be. So there's that. And then my tent. So I have 12 camels or cam meeples that I can place. And then, still need that back. Mm-hmm. And then once all the meeples have been divided out, and we'll stand all these up here in a second, you take everybody's minarets, you put them in the bag, give it a good shuffle, which you do the same thing with the meeples as well. And anybody can draw out the first one, it doesn't matter, but what we usually do is, since she drew out all the meeples, I will draw out the first one, and I drew you, so then you draw out the second one. And she drew me. And then I drew out her, and there's only one left, and that's me. So that is how you set up the, oh, and we always leave this bag open because meeples are going directly right back into it. And we always leave our like plastic bags and things off to the side so that they don't get in our way or lost. So I'll set those under the table. And all the mountains are set up. Oh, we need Whims of the Sultan, please. Mm-hmm. And the way that the whims work is they just are placed one card on each tile that has a whim. Right here. And right there. And that'll be it for setting up 5 tribes. So come on back and watch us play. We're going to try to play it just as quick as we can because this can be a rather lengthy game. In fact, Days of Wonder, that's who released the game, recommends 40 to 80 minutes. But we've played this game for 2 or 3 hours before. Just taking our time, being very methodical, and we're going to have ourselves a little bidding war trying to see who gets to go first because we have a couple of good squares that are sitting out there for us. So, don't be afraid to click on the next video. This was the setup, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.